All right. The U.S. industrializes. So there's tons of reasons why the U.S. became a booming economy, started the Industrial Revolutions, the Rockefellers, all these inventors. The first reason is the natural resources in our country. America is a huge tract of land. Canada, Mexico, North America. It's all big, natural, untouched resources. Over in Europe, they've been cutting down trees, mining, doing all these things to get their resources out and boost their economy. America hasn't been touched. So we've got a ton of natural resources. Copper, iron, coal, you name it, we got it. Wood, water, anything. So why would, anybody tell me why this would affect our economy? So what, we got resources. Why people want to move there? We can export them to other countries, or, what's the opposite of that? We can use them. We can use our own stuff. So we don't have to ship it across the Atlantic Ocean. We don't have to bring it over from Beijing. We don't have to pay for the shipping. It's all in our own country. So it's cheap. That cheap makes the cost of what go down?
Gas.
What? No idea what you just said.
Gas.
Did they have cars back then? Do we have gas automobiles?
No, but they have like cooking stoves and stuff.
Cooking stoves.
Yeah.
We're going to move on to that next section right now. It makes the products costs go down. So if you're buying a pre-made wood for your house or something like that, or iron pots and pans, and we don't have to ship them across from the continent or the ocean, the cost goes down. Pay attention, please. Oil boom. So we were just saying, they don't have cars back then, so why is oil important?
Lanterns.
Lanterns. Who said kerosene? Kerosene. What was kerosene used for?
Lanterns.
Lanterns.
Like lights and stuff.
Lights, wood stoves. So in Pennsylvania, guy by the name of Edwin Drake dug the first well in Pennsylvania, and it started the oil industry. And between 1860, right after the Civil War, all the way up until when they started building automobiles, all the oil was used for kerosene. And then they built automobiles and they started to find different uses for it. Most of those resources are located in the American West. So, like over in the Rocky Mountains where we're at today. So what needs to be built in order to get them?
Roads.
Railroads.
Railroads. Roads can work too, but you got to carry that in a cart and a wagon, and that's kind of a pain in the butt. So, railroads. So who's going to build all that?
Kids.
Kids. Slaves are gone. We just got rid of slavery, right? Emancipation Proclamation.
Child labor.
No, not child labor. That's factories. Immigrants. People, jobs, commerce. Large labor force. So we use humans to build the railroads. Blast the mountains, make it so we can bring those resources over. So, between 1860 and 1910, our population as a country tripled. So we went from, I don't remember the exact numbers, I think it was between 30 million up to 90 million. So, why do you think the country grew that fast?
Because they wanted more workers.
Well, yeah, but why, so going along the lines of that, so who are the workers coming? Where are they coming from?
People.
Europe.
Ireland, Europe. Famine and bad economies happening in Russia and Europe. So immigrants coming across the ocean. But not all of them are immigrants. Another reason is that the book stated was big families. No birth control back then. They got big families. So population is booming. Why do the factories need more workers?
Because they're big and have less people.
They're big. Do you think they had as much technology back then?
No.
So you need hand laborers, people moving pieces in and out, losing fingers left and right. That's what happens. Assembly lines, exactly. The assembly line wasn't established until like 1920 with the Ford factories, but yes, they need factories to build the consumer goods, build up our commerce and our economy.
Our guy doesn't look too happy in that picture.
No, none of them look very happy. They're probably on their way to work and they're just like, oh, picture time. Hello. Okay, can anybody tell me how to pronounce that word? Laissez-faire. So let people do as they choose. It's a French term, and it means essentially kind of like free market, free commerce, free to do as you wish, no government intervention. We want to be able to run our business in our countries the way we want. So laissez-faire, very little government intervention with the economy, they only want the government to protect our rights and our property and maintain peace. So why do you think that, why would people want that, laissez-faire?
To be protected.
Laissez-faire has nothing to do with protection. The economy, what would go on with that?
Regulates supply and demand to keep the economy more stable instead of government paying for us to protect out.
So he said to keep the supply and demand up. When you have laissez-faire, people are trying to put their product out into the economy, and as long as you have the supply and the demand's up, you're good. But if the demand's down, you got to make a better product for them to want it. So like Apple and Samsung, always battling back and forth. Who's got the better phone? Who's got the better product?
Apple. Samsung.
Yeah, whatever. I've had both. They're both about the same.
There's Samsung. Apple's too easy.
Whatever. Anyways, so it's like, yeah, the better product you make, the more likely you are to buy it, right? So that's what these guys are doing. So, but the reason why they want laissez-faire is, who are these people's grandfathers, great-grandfathers?
Immigrants.
Slaves. What? No, not it. Well, we're all immigrants in a sense. But what happened in 1776?
Everyone died.
Revolution. We wanted to get the government out. Stamp tax, all those acts that Britain was posing on us. They didn't want government, no government in our daily lives. So, why do they want laissez-faire? Because their grandfathers and their fathers are all preaching Britain's pieces of crap. We don't like government, we don't like big government. We want it out of our businesses. We just want to run our lives the way we want. So, laissez-faire, get out of our lives. We don't want you here, government. We want to run our own businesses. The competition is good for business. Like I said, you want to be undercutting prices so people will buy your stuff, and you want better products so they'll buy your stuff. No government means less tax, which means cheaper product. It's more efficient, creates more wealth for everyone. How do you think it would make more wealth for everyone?
There's just more people. Like, walking around, buying stuff.
The demand would give more jobs for the suppliers.
Exactly. The demand gives more jobs for more suppliers. People have more money, they spend more money. The economy's up and booming. People, the rich get richer, the poor get poorer. No. But that's essentially how it goes. They spend more money, everybody creates more jobs, creates more wealth, everybody has more money to spend. Because up until this time, everybody's on a farm, right? Spending their money that way. And they rely a lot on the barter system, trading, and not spending. Laissez-faire supported private individuals controlling and making decisions about the nation's wealth. So the Rockefellers, the Edmund Drakes, and all those people that had the money, because they were the big businesses, they controlled the decisions about the nation's wealth. They didn't have to deal with the government, because they were the 1%ers. This big guy's throwing up gang size. So he's like a Rockefeller. The big business controlled everything. So entrepreneurs, people who risk their capital in organizing and running a business. So who are those people? Who would risk their capital and their money to run their businesses? What are some examples? Rockefellers. Who else? What did we learn in that video? Vanderbilt. Carnegie. Big one. Okay, those guys are the big business people. Those are the entrepreneurs. That was the big dream. That was the immigrant's dream in coming to America. You had the opportunity, because those guys started off with not very much. You had the opportunity to start with nothing, and because of the way the government was set up and the business model was set up, to end up being a Rockefeller or a Carnegie and be able to have all this money. So people that would invest, though, they saw New Englanders who had wealth from trade work, because they were in the big market economies during the Civil War. They invested and helped build all these factories and railroad tracks. Europe was also a big investor in our big business model because they had already industrialized. Europe had already spent all their natural resources, and they saw lots of money. They see the Carnegies and the Rockefellers' businesses skyrocketing, so they see that opportunity to make all that money, so they invested their money in our country. That's the wrong button. Okay. So in the pre-Civil War, this is important because it kind of sets the stage for the laissez-faire system. So pre-Civil War, North wanted high tariffs on imported goods. So they wanted to boost our own economy because they didn't want Europe's economy coming in and taking over ours. They want, you're American, you buy from America. We want American goods sold on American soil. So they set up high taxes or tariffs on imported goods, and they wanted subsidies or like grants for land improvement. So like canals, railroads, buildings, public works. And the South wanted opposite. They didn't want taxes on imported goods or exported goods. Why do you think that?
Because they were legit exporting their cotton.
Yeah, King Cotton, they wanted to export their goods. Europe they depended heavily on our exported goods. Cotton, farm, tobacco, anything like that. They depended on trading back and forth. So the South didn't want those taxes. But in order to avoid war, the South had been putting up their fits and fights. And so the tariffs are going down and down to make Lincoln doesn't want them to secede. But they end up seceding, Civil War breaks out, and it ended this debate because now the North controls their own economy and they don't have anybody opposing them in the South. So what do?
They raised the tax.
Tax, grant lands. They don't care, there's no one there opposing them. It's like, okay, the Republicans can control all the Senate, we do whatever we want, you know? So the Morrill tariff was reversed after years of declining tariffs. So during the war, Congress gave all the land to the railroads. So that, I think it was like when you were building a railroad, you got, I think, 20 acres to the right and 20 acres to the left for every track you laid. So it was like, for every mile you laid, you got tons of land, and that's how the railroad subsidied that. This actually is led to the opposite of the laissez-faire belief, because as farmers, you believe in laissez-faire because you're building your own family and your own life. But it caused many farmers, because of those taxes, to leave the farmlands because they couldn't export and import their goods and go work in the factories. States couldn't impose tariffs in between states, so it didn't matter. The railroads didn't matter. You could ship everything across the country. A lot of this is kind of blah, blah, blah stuff that's just nitty-gritty. Okay. Inventions. This is a huge time for inventions. So many things that we have today come from this, or started off in this era. Thomas Edison, one of the greatest inventors ever. A lot of the reasons why he was one of the greatest inventors ever is because he was smart and he brought all the great inventors and hired them underneath himself and then claimed all their work for himself. So that's what Menlo Park is. He recruited all the best inventors in the world, paid them for their stuff, and put his name on it. But he did create also a lot of stuff. He created the incandescent light bulb right here. He created the dictogram, the phonogram, memogram, all these things, all kind of grams. He created the General Electric Company as we know it today, but his biggest invention, I think, was the light bulb. Alexander Graham Bell created the first telephone, making a call to his assistant, Watson. All assistants are named Watson, Sherlock. And then he created AT&T as we know it today. So this is a big time for inventions, and that's what we're going to go on with next. So if you can all pull out a piece of paper, we're going to go with a individual / group assignment. So we're gonna have everybody write about an invention on a half a piece of paper. We're gonna use our phone to figure that out. Figure out their own inventions. But I'm gonna assign. Okay, so everybody have a piece of paper out?
I do.
So I'm gonna assign every row, because if we did this assignment, everybody would just choose the phone and the light bulb. But each row, we're gonna have each row assigned an invention, and I'm gonna want each of you guys to write a half a page about how that invention has affected your life today, or how do you think it would be without that invention? I mean, obviously it'd probably be invented by today, but I want to figure out how it affects your life today. So this row, telephone. This row, light bulb. Battery. Dictaphone. You guys can use your phones to figure out what a dictaphone is if you don't know what it is. Ice machine or refrigerator, rail cars. Shoe, well,
Can we do clothing factory?
yeah,
I'd like to say about
that's
that.
kind of the same thing, shoe and clothing factory. Let's do ice machine this row, refrigerator this row, and then clothing shoe factory this row.
I wanted to do clothing.
Okay, so just write how you think each one of those inventions affected your life, and how it would be different today, or how important do you think it would be, what it would be like without it. And then I'm going to ask for a volunteer from each row to share it, so just be prepared for that. You can assign someone if you want, or I'll pick someone. So we're going to take about, everybody, we're going to take about 5 or 10 minutes. You guys can discuss it between yourselves if you want. It doesn't have to be quiet time. You can use your phones if you need to look up a little bit, but I don't want to see anybody playing on Facebook or anything like that. You do your first research.
Yeah, for this for it.
You're, so you have to go.
Oh, because I'm new?